And as soon as I spoke with, let's see, as soon as I spoke with her, I said orange. I know my friends, whether y'all know it or not, like the world that I be in and the world that I'm about to like start expressing myself through Mashi. I was just saying that my new ego persona alias artist name that I'm using for my art therapy is Mashi. So we're gonna get into further detail about Mashi. But Mashi is bougie, baby. Mashi is bougie, but he has a reason. And the reason is faith. Bougie, bourgeois, hometown, PG County, Maryland, the essence of it. I said, what is bougie? And I looked up the definition, and it's actually a social class. And it's a social class of really sort of like, what do they call it? Middle class, uh, and middle class seeking to obtain the status of a higher class or of a higher status. So, whereas I was talking about dark humor earlier, and I see the light in anything, I said, Denny, you are a light, even in the middle of darkness. You provide the light. And the trickiest part about being the light is a lot of times it's rooted in what could be considered darkness or just absence of light. But you are the light, and that's powerful because that is what power is, and that's God. God is power. So you're not always looking to seek light from someone else. You are the light and you provide the light. And so Denny has always been a light and just laughter and humor and all these things. And I was just like, well, if I flip this on you, then, that means that, you know, there are times probably when you're always providing light and you need it for yourself. But that brings me into a conversation of God and solar power, how it comes from him. We're going to get into that later. But if Denny is orange, I would say Tanise is red. And that's an interesting pair because usually opposites attract. But orange and red is fire and like Mohit together. So y'all like that is interesting. That is so interesting. But I really like read auras and can see auras and stuff like that. And um 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 LaShawn Treese, your color aura, I would say is sort of like between like blue purplish or maybe in the green direction. But it's somewhere in that. I've never shared this kind of stuff like out there with the world. Um, I always thought red and like heat and fire, and then I see how that transfers, and I see it's you. Like I see it. Um, and I have. So this is me sharing my spiritual side, like stuff that y'all never even knew about. But like I've been on this since a child. Certain gifts with colors, animals, certain empathetic things, certain things that for a certain season, I don't. This is a weird place to say what I'm about to say right now. But if I said the story of Jonah, I'm saying it. All these terms and things that I'm doing right now are self healing because I was already working on something that God now has me in this moment. Again, reporting live from ground zero, but I was already working on just this whole therapy thing for content. And then life sort of happened and turned like on me a little bit, but let's just say life pivoted. I'm not going to say life turned on me, but like now I'm having to really be about everything that I'm about. I'm curious, LaShawn Treese, what color would you say you identify with or you feel like you resonate with? Um, was I inaccurate? Hello, how are you? Well, welcome. Let's see. What's your Kamal? Okay, I didn't. If I didn't know you close enough to know, but I would guess yellow. What is your favorite color, Kamal? If I were to just take a random guess, I would say yellow. Um, But that would be an example of a gift that I was not loud about. Like certain animal, I started having spiritual awakenings around 22 ish, 22 years of age. Okay, LaShawn Treese, I just got the color brown from you. Very grounding nature. Do you like praying mantises? Do you like insects or reptiles? Um, I not. I got afraid. You says blue has been your favorite color, but I'm trying to do other colors like yellow and pink lately. Okay. Um, when I was trying to distinguish whether or not I was going to go to barber school in 2014 or go to try to get a master's in art therapy, I chose barbering, but I never stopped my desire to move further with art therapy. And I feel like when I mentioned Dr. Cheyenne Bryant, I was like, who needs a degree or a certification and all of this stuff? Just do it with your real time. If that's your passion, just do it. Never mind the title. I've always sort of been like on that. So I've infused and incorporated a lot of art therapy both into my barbershop experience for my clients and then also in my classroom when I finally became a teacher. And I just feel like naturally I'm already a spiritual person, love God, and just that's already a part of the picture in any project that I'm doing and I'm a part of. But specifically, I started doing yoga in at the end of high school for track and field, rehabilitation. So I had a foundation both with athletics and then creatively, artistically, I had that. And then I had moved on to, production and broadcasting and stuff, which I had also been doing. You said what happened to the art? Um, Art was interesting because I took that on as a job before I was really skilled at it myself. To have taken on a visual arts teacher job, I took that by faith and freestyled my way through it. But that brings in a good one, improvisation, the skill of improvisation and the affiliation with faith, leaping out on faith and trusting God. You have to be a great improv artist. You have to be able to play by ear, dance, freestyle, um, all of that, all of that, all of that. Um, I'm having flashbacks in this moment. It makes me think of where someone might be traveling, astral projection, where you might like wander off somewhere, and how you like the fact that there could be present and then you can go somewhere else and then come back and be like, whoa, well, those were not the same place. That was not the same experience. Like, I definitely did travel somewhere and came back. um, but yeah, that's interesting. That is interesting. You said blue has been your favorite color, but I'm trying to do other colors like yellow and pink. My favorite color is orange. I'm drawn to orange. Do you believe that being skilled in many areas has an effect on your mental health as far as living in a society that says pick a career and stick with it? That is a great question, LaShawn Treese, thank you for that question. I actually think so, because that is a great question. I think so. And by thinking so, you say affecting your mental health. I would say yes, because there is pressure to do one thing. And we live in a very, we talked about codependency. We live in a very cult ish one O type, if I were to like box. They want a robot. They want the same thing. They want a duplicative. Like even with AI right now, they want something they could create and just recreate. They want to copy everything, copy and paste. You know, just ones and zeros. Ooh. So anything outside of that, like the Matrix and other things, you are rogue. You are an outsider. You are rebellious. If you're not going with the status quo and flow with the rest of the world. So the pressure that they put on you is pressure, and that can have an effect on your mental health. Just stress and harassment alone can contribute to stress. So I was gratitude earlier. I'm grateful that in the middle of the day at 1:59 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, so it's 5 East Coast, I always count. um Cannot have the burdens or responsibilities of being a husband or father, as opposed to feeling the absence from it. That's sarcasm. Like, whoo, well, at least I'm free, and I got time to start anew. I can go and start a new life. And everybody can't say that, because while I may say, oh, I may not have foundation in this and grounding and foundation is also depending on how you look at it, perspective, humor, dark humor, weight, bogging you down. Um, yeah. Dark humor is I'm free from your spell, acknowledging that, yeah, the moment is bad, but whoo, I just realized enmeshment is a very toxic relationship. I am free from that. Now that just hearing that word, I can acknowledge that and free myself from that. I am no longer in your bondage. I no longer have that Aladdin Jafar relationship with the Sultan, where you're sitting here manipulating me with this cobra staff of hypnosis, leading me to guilt, preventing me from freedom. That translates physically like earth, wind, water, light. Physically, earth, matter has translated into physical stress that is physically impacting my health. So are you truly for the betterment of me and my health, or are you working against me? In this moment, ally or enemy, just whatever it is what it is. But we're not going to be fake about it. We're going to be real about it and move and proceed about it. We're not going to do the reverse psychology and the guilt anymore. Enemy is an enemy. And that could be mother, brother. It could be neglect. It could be mind games. Like, it could be so many things. It could be so many things. Oh my. Lord God, I thank you for revelation. I thank you for freedom. I thank you for potential. I thank you for experience. I thank you to be free. 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 So that's why I'm adamant about doing these lives right now. Life is not promised, y'all. Shit could have been all over this past weekend. Or my freedom, I'm telling you, worked this hard to get this far, no record. And it is a requirement to catch a whole case just to go home. Nah, I'm good on that. It's too much life out there. Home is where a lot of hatred is. You know what? Here's a whole subject. There is a conversation about whether or not you have to leave your hometown to be successful. a lot of times I hear it first, it was in context just because that's my home. They were like, "Do you got to leave the city, DC, to make it?" And I would just say hometown, period. It doesn't matter which city it is. It's just where you are. Going into a new place, people get to appreciate you for the new of what you are. And home has such a loyalty and a binding and pressure to keep it consistent with whatever you came from. But what if you came from shit and sarcastically found some humor in life to half-ass make something of yourself, of anything from nothing? That's art. You said, what happened to the art? The art is this, not giving a shit about any of this and making sure this message is happening. Okay? You talking about freeing ourselves from spells, witchcraft, curses, generational curses. We have in church right now, straight up. So whether it is a ministry of 0 or 1, 2, 3, or more when we gather, that's what it is. That is what it is. And I thank everybody for tuning in. I thank LaShawn Trees for holding me down out here in these streets. I really appreciate you, and I'm happy to have you. Thank you for your engagement. I'm just so grateful to find light in the darkness. Sarcasm, baby. Bourgeois, bourgeoisie, mashi. Wait till we get into mashi. I have to step into mashi because I have to use ego right now. And I have to, you strike a rock and you create a fire and you eat. Like, I got to charge myself up. It's just me and God right now. Mashi is the God in me. Mashi, again, represents BMAC in present form. And I also brought up sarcasm and dark humor and interpretation and stuff because a lot of people really telling themselves, you might be looking at something that I don't even see as what you see. Like, if you're looking at just natural hair alone or beard and stuff, and you're thinking anything other than that is just the hairstyle selection, then you're mistaken. Like, I'm very intentional and comfortable with my aesthetic right now. I do not seek to look like, any other version at the moment. Like, if I wanted a haircut, I'd have a haircut. If I really wanted to be glowing right now with oils and the moisture and all that, I'd do that right now. I'm not focused on that right now. I've lived that chapter. I've done modeling. I've done screen time. And then I've done the social life, like, enough to know that all of that is not worth it. Like, I turn on when it's time to turn on. When it's time to dress up, I dress up. And right now, that's not the case. There are other things going on in life right now, way more important than dressing up anything. So, that's that. I am not suicidal, and the cleaner look thing is a whole discussion in itself, but it brings in, since we're having church, a great discussion. A cleaner look. Jesus Christ versus Yahshua and Yeshua. The same way I brought up Leon Eisenberg, the creator of ADHD, who admitted on his deathbed that, according to him, it is a fictitious disease. Let's look up Caesar Borgia. Let's actually take the time to look up Caesar, Caesborgia. Okay. Caesar Borgia was a ruthless Renaissance warlord and politician, the illegitimate son of Pope Alexander. I don't know the Roman numeral VI, but that's what it is. He used extreme nepotism to carve out a central Italian state. He's most famous for inspiring Niccolo Machiavelli's The Prince and for being the first person in history to quit the College of Cardinals. That's just a little bit about him. But essentially, that. Okay. The idea, see, that's what I don't like about AI. AI is starting to shift and alter some stuff that is supposed to be consistent. This stuff is important. This stuff is identity. So, Caesar Borgia is the self portrait image of the white Jesus. His father assigned him that art project. Um, it says now through AI, there's no verified physical description or historical portrait of Jesus. The familiar image of a fair skinned, long haired, and bearded man commonly seen today is a cultural construct that evolved over centuries from various artistic traditions. The Caesar Borgia theory is a persistent theory that claims our modern Western image is based on Caesar Borgia, the illegitimate son of Pope Alexander. Historians note that while artists during the Renaissance, like Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo, did use Borgia as a model for Christ, this was building on older established bearded iconography rather than inventing it. So I guess what are they trying to say? That he was just like a figure art model when they were just trying to design an image in a painting representing, but even that in itself, it is a creation outside of what we can just look up about this name. It says Yeshua and Yahshua are two different transliterations of the Hebrew and Aramaic name for Jesus. Yeshua, the widely accepted. Okay. That's that. Here's my issue. There's power in the name, and they say there's power in the name Jesus. Yes, there is. And then God is a jealous God. Okay, cool. So one God and only God, and we're not doing the lowercase g's, we're just doing the capital G. Okay. By the time I said I started having spiritual awakening and stuff earlier in my journey, I've also shared the story that yoga was something that I got into, and I was enlightened by a pastor one time that yoga, from their understanding and perspective, was demonic and witchcraft and opens you up to other spirits and things, um, and listed all the reasons why. And I had a personal decision to make of whether or not I was going to continue it in my personal life, but it was definitely forbidden in their spaces. Okay. Um, that was interesting for me. That was almost sarcasm and humor because I was like, how can anybody find anything negative about yoga? Years later, fast forward, I have at least inquired back to that conversation with that pastor and like, damn, have I opened myself up to some shit? What has this been? And just is any of it affiliated with that channel that I opened up through yoga? I have inquired, but I haven't stopped yoga. I do a very specific yoga. My yoga is really the same DVD from my early journey. That is not even a DVD anymore. I listen to it. It's audio and I follow. I know the poses when I hear them. And so I just do it and follow. But I'm not worshiping another God. I'm not chanting. So I have seen that yoga has some dimensions to it, and people have gone further But I have never gone further past like the same place outside of really just trying to do handstands and stuff at one point in my journey. Um, so that's that. That is that. Salute, salute. Welcome, welcome. Question: do you think yoga is demonic? Do you think yoga is witchcraft or opens you up to any form of spells and spiritual attacks? That's a very specific and direct question that anybody can join and chime in on. Um, but I think the fact that I even self-assessed and reflected and just gave a shot at assessing whether or not you know for this next season transition and pivot, what is serving me. But yoga has always been a blessing. You know, the results with consistency, it just does a certain thing. My yoga, the one that I do. So that's that. I'm not praying to no other God on that. My thing though with the whole God thing is, and one God is, if yoga is a bad thing because it is something other than the one and the original, then can we please find some consistency? My issue is, if that is the case, then, ooh, if that is the case, mm, then if Yeshua or Yahshua is the original form and name for the character in the Bible, Jesus Christ, who is supposed to be our Lord and Savior, and the whole story, hmm, I'm just saying that Jesus and Yahshua are not the same person. And technically, if it's already stated that Yahshua or Yeshua is the original form and name and identity for the Savior, the Messiah, then to embrace another name is to embrace a lowercase g and another God, a different identity, a different being. They're not the same person. They don't have the same name. You don't translate names unless somebody's getting a name change. I understand a name may have a different translation and meaning in a different regional setting, but if my parents did not name me Esteban, or if my parents named me Esteban, then by the time I come to America, my name is not automatically Steven unless I change my name. So everybody else talking that translation nonsense and then creating a new image. You hear what they did? They went and got a figure art model, a white guy, Caesar Borgia, and either painted an image off of him or he self-portraited it up. And then went and killed black folks for painting a black Jesus of Yahshua in its original form. And I bring all of this up. We talk about identity, sense of humor, perception, all of that. Somebody could be looking at you like thinking gains, wins, positive, negative, compliment, insult. Um, oh, your hair, a cleaner look. And I'm like, no, like you could be looking at other things and gather what you need to gather. But sometimes people, the whole joke is on whoever, on them, on you. But a lot of times people don't realize they have an innate rejection for Yahshua and acceptance for Jesus. The same way in society, uh, European expectations, there's so much pressure to say Jesus and very tight space to really be on that Yahshua stuff, or that's what it's going to feel like. Yahshua stuff. And are you a Hebrew Israelite automatic, just off of stance, decision? And then people, I realize I was wondering, where is all of this coming from? Hate, resistance, different things. You battling resistance, you don't even realize. Some people, you know, that's weird. They see Jesus in you, or they see God in you, and they apply prejudice. And then they want a certain version of Jesus over Yahshua. I tell you, actual form really showed me what is real. It broke a lot of superficiality, superficial relationships. It broke a lot of unnecessary excess to the point where I don't even seek to attract that which brought on a lot of or need in my life, things that were not in alignment. Um, so that um, BMAC could operate and walk into spaces that Sherrod Natural can still enter, but will not be welcomed and embraced the same. Seen as having the same level of intelligence, ability, potential, value, none of that stuff. And once I saw and experienced that, and how just making a personal decision for self to just be a natural form can have on relationships, from personal family relationships to professional, I'm like, well, let's just, okay, I see. And then for my message through Sherrod Natural, I'm like, I got to be consistent with the brand. Hello, how you doing? Welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Question. No, we don't have to go back to that. Thank you for joining. The conversation is flowing. We've covered a lot of topics. We'll let it go where it's gone. But how was your day? And thank you for tuning in. I personally also need to go ahead and make moves. I've been going live all day, but I had a lot to let out. Um, and I wanted to let it out because there's just a lot to do project wise. Um, there's a lot to do, and life can happen so much that this whole time just trying to distract you from taking this moment to just execute the objective. You are live radio, baby. That is the objective. Paycheck from it or not, I can say I worked a full-time shift today at the radio station. Time is 2:22 p.m. The synchronicity, baby. Live and direct. West Coast. Mashi, baby. You know me. All right. I think that is a good transition. I'm so grateful. It's such a release. It's such a release. And we will be live again. Have a wonderful day. peace. I feel fulfilled. And that is a wonderful, beautiful thing.